guys, it's me, it's Queen Heru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Now, if you smack the bell, you have to hit all videos to get all of the notifications. Someone told me the other day that they didn't hit that and they were only getting some notifications. That's because you have to hit all. YouTube wants to know that you want to see all of them, okay? If you don't hit all, they don't send you all of them, all right? All right, so let's talk about this guy's question. I was reading the comment section the other day because every day I read the comment section. And this gentleman, I think it was a guy. I couldn't tell by the name, but I think it was a guy. But this person said they have a problem with communication. And they were asking me, did I have any pointers for communicating with the signs? Did I have some kind of cheat sheet or something that maybe I could spill to help people to be able to communicate better with the different zodiac signs? Now, I do have a theory about this, but it's not based on the signs, it's based on the elements instead of doing each sign. I do it based on element, and I'm going to tell you why. One of the things I've found about people is people don't always act like their zodiac sign. I've met a lot of people that did not, and I've met a lot that do. Like, for instance, if you look up Aquarius in a dictionary, you might find a picture of me because I am a textbook Aquarius. And that's a good thing because I can use all the horoscopes. Any old horoscope I've ever seen in any teen magazine had something in it to do with me. Every last one. But some people aren't like that because, like I said before, you got to take into account the entire astrological chart. So some people's chart is so upside down that they don't act anything like their sun sign. They act more like their moon sign, or they act more like their rising sign or something like that. And you're like, you're a what? And you're like shocked that that's their sign. So I don't do it based on signs because so many people don't act like their sign. So when dealing with communication, the number one best way to communicate with anyone is to build a rapport with that person, each one on the one. Don't take it by their culture. Don't take it by their zodiac sign. Don't take it by their gender. Don't come at them with any of those because all of those can be wrong. All of those can be deceptive. But if you get to know the person and get a rapport with them and find out the kind of things that they like and the kind of things they like to do, the kind of hobbies they have, that's your best bet. Okay? So if you're trying to get to know, let's say, the guy in the cubicle next to you, you want to strike up a friendship or a romance or whatever the case is, I would recommend getting to know him. So if he says, yeah, I'm a Leo, I wouldn't start talking to him like, okay, I know what Leos are and come with my Leo knowledge. I wouldn't do that. I might do that in the very beginning just to get in the door, like I'm getting ready to tell you this technique. I use this technique a lot when I first meet a person. But after that, I generally start getting to know them on a more personal level. So I don't use this technique as much. This is when I don't really know the person that well and I'm just trying to get in the door, you know? So what I do is I try to get to know them, each one on the one. I try to get to know that person, their personal hobbies, what interests them. Because even if the person is an Aquarius like me, they might have interests and hobbies that I don't know anything about. I met an Aquarius once who was into extreme skateboarding. Now, I'm not into extreme skateboarding, but I found it to be very interesting. And by getting to know him, I learned a little bit more, not a lot, but a little bit more about skateboarding. So when you get to know a person, you're able to really get to see what they're into. And it's not like this cookie cutter generic, kind of, way of communicating. Like, okay, I know you're a Cancer, so I'm going to talk about X. I know you're a Libra, so I'm going to talk about X. I could see somebody using these, like I said, in the very beginning. But after you get to know a person, talk about things that are specific to that person. If you want to communicate with them and get close with them, learn about their hobbies. If a person is into extreme skateboarding, if a person is into playing an instrument, person is into martial arts, and you really want to communicate with that person and talk to that person, learn about what they're into. Take it a step further than that. Go with them to something they're into. Go to a workshop with them. Go to an art exhibit with them. The way to communicate with people is to understand them. Get to know them, especially if you're trying to establish some kind of a long-term relationship. Now, what's the method I use when I don't know them that could be helpful? Well, because Aquarius have problems with communication, I've always studied communication. And one of the things I learned was this. Instead of talking to a person and coming from their zodiac sign, I come from the element that their zodiac sign is a part of. So it's easier for me to be able to conceptualize it and then move forward. For example, if a person is a Pisces, a Scorpio, or a Cancer, their element is water. So I will try to immediately establish an emotional connection with them. The things that we talk about or the things that I'll let them lead the conversation basically, and I'll go to connecting with them emotionally, understanding how they feel about things and talking about how I feel about things. You see, if somebody is an Aquarius, a Libra, or a Gemini, I use the air element and I come from the intellect. So I talk about logical things, philosophy kind of things. And again, I let them lead the conversation and I just follow. You see, I just follow with things about philosophy or things under those lines. Now that'll help me in the first conversation or two. And by then I should know a little bit about their likes and dislikes from those conversations. So if I'm talking to a Gemini, for example, and let's say I bring up a philosopher such as Plato or, something like that. And we start to talk about that. During the conversation, I'm listening for them to talk about things that they like, things that they may have liked from Plato. Or if we're talking about psychology, how do they feel about Sigmund Freud? And some of his theories, So from this, I now get to see what they're into, what they like. Oh, I don't like Freud. He's a hack. Or I love Freud. I love his work, I get to hear these things. Now I can tailor the third and fourth and fifth conversation directly to what I know that they're into and not just a stab in the dark, generally philosophy. Instead of just stabbing philosophy, I know this person is into Freud. I know this person is into Piaget, So that's the energy I would come from. First, I would step up with the generic, and then I would learn the specific from talking to them. And that's how you communicate with another person. Likewise, if the person is a Capricorn, a Taurus, or a Virgo, they're an earth sign. So those people like practical, down to earth things. Sometimes food, sometimes talking about security, talking about like money topics, how to make money or, how to move money or business opportunities, things like that. I would come at those earth signs with those kind of things. Things that are down to earth and make logical, practical sense. They would usually like to talk about something like that more so than talking about Freud. Not to say that none of them would, because Virgos might be very into that, but they, as an element, would prefer things that are down to earth and practical. Maybe even talk about something along those lines, like music, for example. Any of these, you can do music because everybody likes music. We all just like different kinds of music. So you can always say, hey, what kind of music do you like? And then when they talk about the kind that they like, you mention the things from those genres that you like too. Now you have some similarities going on. You see? Now you have a rapport. Likewise, fire signs. When I meet fire signs, I talk about fun things like sports. I let them lead the conversation. So whatever they find to be fun is what we talk about. A lot of times it's sports. Sometimes it's activities like going places, amusement parks, bungee jumping. It can be any of those kind of things. Fire signs are fun signs. So what you do with them is find out what they find to be fun and then talk about those things. So, like I said, that hack, that element, I call it the element hack, by the way. The element hack does help you when breaking the ice. Because most of the times when I use these, they work. But what works the best is when I talk to the person about their specific wants, needs, desires, likes. That works the best. So if you are having an issue with communication, remember some of the things that I said and try them. Likewise, read up on the elements, because if you read up on them, they'll give you more ideas about what to say. Okay? So try it out. At least you're trying to communicate. A lot of Aquarius I know and people who have problems with communication won't even try. So if you're trying, you're probably on the right track. And if you're being specific, you're definitely on a good track. Okay, guys, it's time for me to get going. Thank you for your question. Likewise, if you want to get in touch with me, all of my information will be underneath this video. Hit me up. Deuces.